Nation's #1 DJ, DJ Rockwell.
Yo, this is Apocalypse, the lyrical warner, hip-hop revelator. And you rockin' with the nation's #1 DJ, DJ Rockwell, you understand me?
Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen and ladies, brothers and sisters, friends, partners, and even people we don't like. Now, we love everybody here at the Rockwell Radio Show, unless they're the enemy. This is DJ Rockwell, the nation's #1 DJ and host of what you're watching right now. This is the Rockwell Radio Show. It's Saturday, and I'm so happy that you are with us and we are with you. If you're watching right now and you've never seen us, welcome, welcome, welcome. We ask everybody to observe, everybody to jump on board and help along with observing the 3 standing rules of the Rockwell Radio Show. That is, go ahead and hit that like and share button right about now. Tag a friend, tag a pal. And if you're watching on YouTube, make this be the day you subscribe to the Rockwell Radio Show. We're here every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, and we're glad to have you. Let's say if you never watched the Rockwell Radio Show before and you're wondering, Big Day, like, what's the Rockwell Radio Show all about?
Who are you?
And what are y'all doing? Why are you talking about radio? It's not even radio. It's the internet. The Rockwell Radio Show exists for one purpose and one purpose only. It is the resurrection of our people through this great cultural phenomenon that the world has experienced called hip hop. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has had such a profound impact on this music and this cultural force called hip hop. We have no choice but to use it as the tool that is properly meant for, and that is the resurrection of an entire people. Can we use it for that day?
I think we can.
So again, welcome to the Rockwell Radio Show. We have an extraordinary show planned for you. Hit that share button, hit that like button, and we're going to talk about today. I want to ask, as a matter of fact, as you all come on in the room, my brother, X-Man in the building, as you all come in the room, I want to know, did you go to the International Training Conference in Chicago last week? Were you there? Did you have the experience? Did you witness firsthand our brother GM and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the many masters, the many CEOs, the many triple black belts and the OGs that came from around the world to participate and give that training to you? Were you there? I tell you what, this show is going to be for those who wasn't there, so you can get a first-hand grasp of what happened. Why should you make plans to be at the International Training Conference every year? We got some people on deck that are coming on to tell you why and to tell you what happened. But if you were there, I want you to help me do this episode tonight. I want y'all to help me. I want you all to, in the comments, share a thought, share an experience, share what you saw, share how you felt, share something you learned. We want to make this episode of the Rockwell Radio Show be interactive. So we want you to participate in the show by commenting on what you saw tonight. Joining us on this episode of the Rockwell Radio Show will be one of the key planners, one of the assistants of Grandmaster Abdul Aziz Muhammad. He's been on this show any number of times now. I'm talking about our brother, Sensei Calvin Muhammad, is going to be in the building with us shortly. And why this particular episode is so dope for me, and why this year's ITC is so dope to me is because now we're starting to see increasingly the NY hip hop presence be more pronounced at this event. So we had performers like Akila Nahanda, who's going to be with us tonight to tell us how it went. We've got performers that was there in the building that rhymed on stage, that rocked on stage. Hakeem will be in the building with us tonight. Longtime veteran NOI MC, Reginald, your god brother, was in the building, and he's going to give a first-hand report of how it all went down. He's in the building with us tonight. So again, we need everybody do the 3 steps. Just go ahead and help us out by hitting the like and share button. Go ahead and do it. Y'all won't hurt. Tag somebody, and of course, subscribe. You're watching the Rockwell Radio Show, but before we get started, we got something we want to show you. As always, yo, check this out.
I want to talk to you.
Damn, that hurt.
And it starts with knowledge of God, knowledge of self, knowledge of truth, and accepting God.
Please welcome back to the Rockwell Radio Show. This brother is a triple OG in the martial arts field. He hails originally from Milwaukee, but now resides in Kansas City, Missouri, and serves at the right-hand side of our big brother, the GM, Grandmaster Abdul Aziz, a co-planner and been riding for years to make this event a success. And again, he is no stranger to the Rockwell Radio Show. Please welcome back my brother and yours, Sensei Calvin Muhammad.
My brother. How are you, sir?
I am fine now, big brother. Good to see you. Welcome back.
Man,
Brother,
the pleasure is mine.
I tell you what, I saw the videos, I saw the clips, I saw the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I saw the smiles on the believers' faces. I saw the hard work, but I also saw the payoff. First of all, thank you for coming back to give us this recap. If you will, let's just start by, what is your initial response now that it's over, the books have closed, you've now had a chance to exhale? What is your initial response to what you witnessed?
First and foremost, brother, I have to express my gratitude. And I am grateful, of course, to Almighty God Allah for the inspiration of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for the national training and our national trainer, who I'm grateful for. Grateful for our student supreme captain, the assistant supreme captain. Grateful for you in the show, powerful show. And also, I have to express there's a crew of people you never see, and that is the planning team for the International Training Conference, who for about 4 months give up their Sundays, and they work tirelessly to ensure that the national training is on. I have to express my gratitude. And my initial response coming out of the national training, first, I have to say, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. All praise.
Yes,
is
come on now.
And the national training really never ends. We have that event, But from that event, it springs a lot of other events and requests all around the country. So this is the time when you'll see the student assistant supreme captain traveling all across the country doing trainings in different cities. But that being said, every single year, starting from 1996, when we met in that office in the Pioneer Building on Cottage Grove in Chicago, it was just an office. And every single year it gets better and better, and we break records with attendance. But more than that, we expand the breadth of the training that we have to offer, and we hear that feedback from the believers. So, brother, I am uniquely proud of what the national training had to do. I'm honored to be with our dear beloved student assistant supreme captain Grandmaster Abdulaziz Muhammad, and to hear from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Whatever our expectations were of the national training, they were exceeded by 100-fold.
Great job, great job, great job, brother. I'm so excited and blown away by your enthusiasm, as I would expect for it to be. Tell me this. You mentioned just now in your comments about the feedback. And that's one thing I want to emphasize on this show tonight. If you're watching at home, we want you to place your feedback if you were there. We want to read it. We want to hear it. And you have with us tonight one of the planners and organizers of the event to share your feedback with him directly live right here on the Rockwell Radio Show. So, dear brother, please, if you can share with us some of the feedback you have heard in the last 7 days.
Well, let me say this. We typically have a mixture of people who are returning to the national training, and we have new people who are coming to the national training. And we depend on feedback. When you see changes taking place, when you see presentations that you haven't seen before the national training, it's more than likely because somebody requested it or multiple people have requested it through their feedback. But the initial feedback that we're getting, this is the number one observation that comes. People tell us they had absolutely no idea that the national training was exactly what it was. People thought they were going to be coming and spend 2 days on the mat and getting beat up by masters. They didn't know we were going to be going through actual workshops. They didn't know we were going to have agricultural masters there. They didn't know we were going to have people like Sister Sajda, who covered how to apply the supreme wisdom to business, because business is warfare. We've expanded our dignitary protection to cover the dignitaries in yourself and your family. You know, we had so many things. Minister Nuri Muhammad dealing with the men. We're not even going to get into the youth. So the initial response, the most important feedback that we get is being able to take a person who thought the national training was one thing, and when they leave, they say, we had no idea how all-encompassing it is. So that's one of the things that we look to hear, that we change perspectives on what the national training is.
You mentioned the youth just now. And as you know, every time you come on, I have to ask about my nieces and nephews. Tell me about their performance, how they did, and how was the response to their hard work this year?
Well, I've had some discussions with the GM, Grandmaster Abdulaziz Muhammad. And you know, one of the things that we fall into the trap of is that we build things based on personality. And one of the things that I heard the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teach, he taught that if you set up at that time a temple without a university, you're saying that you will not continue on into the future. And so with the youth that are involved in the national training, I have to say that we know the national training is going to be around for a long time to come, because we have a cadre of youth that are absolutely dynamic, and they're preparing future leaders for the Nation of Islam. I wish you could have had an opportunity to just be a fly on the wall and see the topics that they were dealing with, from economics to bullying to how to take on the teachings and still, as you grow and develop into late teens and early 20s, maintain your discipline. They talked about marriage and how to stay chaste and how you deal with the vicissitudes of life. Brother, our youth are I'm not going to say on their way. They are taking their positions in this nation as leaders right now.
I love it. I absolutely love it. You're tuning to the Rockwell Radio Show. It's Saturday. We are live. And let me also mention, I can't forget to mention that today's episode is brought to you by Bateen's Day Out. We are wishing everybody in the state of Georgia will make your way to Macon, Georgia tomorrow. That's tomorrow, to participate in Bateen's Day Out. They are a great sponsor of this episode, and we thank you. And you'll hear more about that and Bateen's Day Out later in this episode. And you can get more information and tickets to that event at douglastheater.myboxoffice.us. Now, brother, in your comments just now, you also caught another thing. You mentioned in reference to, let me rephrase. In the opening commentary, a slideshow that I presented, we saw a huge age range from the youth that you mentioned to some of our more seasoned NOI pioneers. Tell me, from the viewpoint of our pioneers, how do they experience ITC 2023?
You know, we lean heavily on our pioneers, those who have paved the way for us, those who have made it safe for us to say things like Assalamu alaikum, and those who have made the name of the Nation of Islam resounding and synonymous within the community. We lean heavily on their knowledge, on their wisdom, on their expertise. And so in many ways, we get feedback and we have to go back. I remember having a conversation with Grandmaster. We were trying to make sure that we present certain things in relationship to our military structure and certain protocols. And we often counsel with our pioneers to make sure that we are right and exact. That being said, like any children will be, you're always happy to get that nod of approval from the pioneers. And I saw a photo. I wasn't in this workshop, but I saw a photo of the sisters training, the sisters only training led by our teacher, Soke Little John Davis.
Yes,
and
sir.
I saw that we had a wide range of ages in the women's class. And we even had some of our pioneers sitting in the seats, our sister pioneers sitting in their chair, doing their martial arts training. So we know that if we can get that nod of approval, and if we can heed the feedback, and then they're constantly coming to tell us that we are making them go back into recesses of their mind and express their joy to see the growth and the solidification of the Nation of Islam. It's an absolute honor to have their approval, and it's an honor to have them in our presence whenever we're doing something.
Beautiful. Brothers and sisters, that's Sensei Calvin Muhammad. He is one of the key organizers, one of the key men that happens to be with us tonight on the Rockwell Radio Show. If you're watching, if you're joining us, we welcome you. We're here every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. This is the Rockwell Radio Show. Coming up on the second half, in the second segment, don't go away. We got with us, I'm talking about part of the ITC day was the hip hop show, the artist. Can you believe that there's an embrace happening of the hip hop culture with the ITC? And we're going to meet some of them who were present in the building that night. So let me get into this with you, brother, as we get ready to move on to our first break in just a moment or two. We were talking about feedback. What do you remember as someone maybe shared with you, or something that you just observed where you knew that every year this is worth it?
Oh my goodness. Well, here's something that whether you made the national training or not, in every mosque, in every study group, I'm talking about from Detroit, Michigan, if you go out as far west as you can go in Seattle, if you go up into the mosque and study groups in Canada, if you go overseas to London, in every one of those study groups and mosques, they have been influenced by the national training.
Come on.
So you're talking about your modern check procedure. If you're doing any type of dignitary protection, all of that has been refined over the last 28 years at the national training. Any type of security, you have sisters traveling from everywhere to come in. If you have sisters checking at your mosque, chances are they've gone through a check certification right there at the national training. And so when we look at the far-reaching implications of what we're doing, even from those who are not in attendance, who may not be able to make it, when people come into a mosque or study group and they sit down with the security and the peace of mind, we know that the national training had a hand in that. And for that in and of itself, that is worth it, to be able to take a select few from all over the country and all over the nation, give them the training that they need, and then let them go back to their prospective cities and make sure to implement that training.
Brothers and sisters, that's Sensei Calvin Muhammad. You're watching the Rockwell Radio Show, the Rockwell Radio Show, and we're talking about the just passed International Training Conference for 2023, which happened in the city of Chicago just last weekend. And for all accounts, it was a huge success. Coming up in just a few more minutes, we'll be joined by Akila Nahanda, who did a headline set there in Chicago. Coming up in just a few more minutes are our brothers Hashim Hakeem and Reginald, your god brother. Don't go away. But before we go to break, let me ask another question or two. I want to talk about the hard part, because I know from us who buy tickets and us who catch flights, and we get to show up, get our tickets, and just be amazed by what we see. What is the parts that goes on in the planning that we don't see?
Let me say this, and this is where I want everybody, whenever you have an opportunity to see our student assistant supreme captain, whenever you come across him, you just make sure to express your gratitude for the national training. Because here's a man, I said we bring the team together about 4 months before the national training. But he is taking maybe a momentary breather, and he's getting ready to start right now. Observations and taking the feedback from this year and trying to solidify a venue for next year. You know, there's some negotiations that he has to do, because this is a large conference now. There's some negotiations that he has to do that would break the average person, that will make the average person say, you know what, we just can't have it today. And we hear him say this often with the team, that as long as he has the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's blessings, it is the will of Allah that this happens. And so there were hurdles that popped up all across that we thought, man, is this it? Is this going to be it? And by Allah's permission, he retreated to seek refuge in Allah and came back with a solution. They were making negotiations and dealing. So when we plan the national training, not just getting the presenters in order, we're not even going to talk about the technology. Shout out to Sister Shanita Muhammad and Brother Troy, who handle some of the technology. These are people who even weren't on site. They were still doing data upgrades from home and making sure registration and all of those things were taking place. There are so many moving parts from the vending area. You wouldn't believe what all goes into the vending area.
How about it?
What it takes to just plug in DJ equipment at the national training. All of those things have to be negotiated and approved. And I got to give it up to our student assistant supreme captain, who keeps a very cool head. He's not only a martial artist when it comes to the art of VSK Jiu-Jitsu, but he keeps his art in mind very smooth, like whenever it comes to making a big goal or objective happen like this.
It's been 28 years. When the day comes and it's opening day, do you ever still experience a sense of nervousness? Like, is this going to go as we planned it?
Brother, from that Thursday, we start. I think the entire team has this jitters until the closing prayer for the national training. We know that anything can happen. You have people like the MC, Brother Terrence and Sister Kalila. You would be surprised how many curveballs they're throwing, just in coordination to make sure that we're bringing the presenters up and then we have all the technology in line. So there's there's always it's like game day every minute and second for the national training, and
I
from the
bet.
beginning of
I
the conference
bet.
to the end.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Sensei Calvin with us. This is the Rockwell Radio Show, and tonight's episode is brought to you by Teens Day, happening tomorrow down in Macon, Georgia, where they'll be paying tribute to one of their hometown greats, our late brother, Bateen Muhammad, who also was a guest right here on the Rockwell Radio Show some time ago. And unfortunately, our brother passed away, but his memory will forever be held high in the city of Macon, where they'll be honoring him tomorrow, August 6th, in Macon, Georgia, with a concert by his former bandmates, teammates, and friends and family. And tickets are available that you too, if you're in the area, to go down and support it. You can go right to douglastheater.myboxoffice.us to support our big brother. Long live the memory of Bateen Muhammad for Bateen's Day. That's going to be big. So as we get ready to go to break and bring on the next segment, I have one last question for you, big brother.
Yes, sir.
When the curtains have fallen, when people have been shipped off to the airport, to the bus stations, or whatever their methods of transportation is to go back home, what is it that you, GM, and those who have participated in planning it hope that they take away with them?
You know, our hope, again, his position and his appointment is the national trainer of the Nation of Islam. And the intent behind that position is to make sure that the entire nation has a clear path of training and to make sure there's a uniform standard for our different security protocols and to heighten the level of awareness in accordance with what the desires and the wishes of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is. Our hope is that we allow people to leave having a good understanding of the actual time that we live in, what must be done, and having at least a good direction in regards to the context matter that we set forth of how to start to establish that for themselves. We have a saying that when a new student comes into the dojo, if it's their first class, when they leave out, we at least want them to be able to throw a punch that can help them to defend themselves.
Come on.
You know, we don't want to wait for that. The national training is set up so that our hope is that when you leave, that you have more questions about what you saw, but you have the desire to say, you know what? I didn't have a disaster preparedness kit. Let me go ahead and get that in place. Or you know what? Grandmaster Abdulaziz Muhammad is not in our area, but I know somebody who trains in boxing. I know somebody who trains in judo. Let me start to do some self-defense. Or if it's something as simple as remembering when you leave your home, where things were, and if you letting down your garage door, that you're looking out your rear view mirror, making sure, we want to just heighten the awareness and get the ball rolling so that you are better off when you leave than when you came.
My brother, I thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, that is Sensei Calvin Muhammad, one of the co-planners of the annual international training conference. Dear brother, is there anything you wish to say in closing of segment 1 to all of those that participated this year?
I want to say to each and every individual, and I believe I can do this on behalf of the Assistant Supreme Captain, our national trainer, Grandmaster Abdulaziz Muhammad, and you see that we have many members of the Executive Council involved and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I want to say that one thing that we cannot pay for is your time. And what makes the national training a success is not just concluding the national training of our presentations. What really makes it a success is when you all come, the attendees, those who sit down in the seats and take fervent notes. When you come and you leave with something and you go back, and then if we travel to another city, we see something that was said at the national training and is implemented. The biggest part of the national training was not July 28th through the 30th or the 31st. The biggest part of the national training is when you all leave and you come as attendees and you take that knowledge as you have been for 28 years and you've gone back to implement it. We want to give our gratitude and our thanks for the most precious gift in the time that you have, and that is your time and your attention. Thank you all so much for making the national training what it is.
We are now up against the break. Brother Sensei, we thank you. We love you. We congratulate you on another great year of the International Training Conference. We're about to go to part number 2 after this break. And Brother Calvin, you're welcome to stick around if you like. But we're now going to focus on those MCs, the NY hip hop segment that tore Chicago to pieces at ITC 2023. This is DJ Rockwell, and we'll be right back after this.
What up with it, man? You already know what time it is. It's me, Young County Don. I'm up in this thing.
Peace. This is Aziz, the kid Kareem, the left giving them seed.
Peace, everyone. This is Brother Anthony K. Muhammad, also known as A-Tone, the hip-hop historian.
Peace, family. What's going on? It's Brother Jabril, Brother Mustafa, Lordship Productions in the building.
I am your sister, Arian Nicole. Peace, peace, peace. It's your sister, Sue X, and you're watching the Rockwell Radio Show.
You are now tuned in live to the Rockwell Radio Show.
Right now, you're listening to Rockwell Radio Show.
Rockwell Radio. If you ain't listening, man, you wasting time. You on all these other stations, you need to tap in. Rockwell Radio.
You know what it is. Watch them, watch them, watch them.
I'm here with Brother Rockwell, the Rockwell Radio Show.
You ain't in the game, you in the stand. Stop playing, man. Let's go.
Macon, Georgia is a city rich in musical history. From the soulful sounds of Otis Redding III to the funkadelic grooves of Batin, this town has produced some true legends. On August 6th at 6 p.m., we gather at the historic Douglas Theater to pay tribute to these greats of Macon. It will be a special night as the all-star band takes the stage. Joining forces, the band will perform songs that were dear to Batin, Jamal Thomas, Otis Redding III, and Tony Bone Dorsey. Tonight, they come together to create pure musical magic. The guitar effortlessly weaving melodic solos that touch your soul. The heartbeat of the rhythm section driving the groove with infectious energy. The all-star band carries on the legacy, echoing with the same raw passion that captivated audiences decades ago. Together, these extraordinary musicians pay homage to Macon's music legends, honoring the legacies that helped put this city on the musical map. This night at the historic Douglas Theater, we celebrate the spirit of Macon and the indelible mark these greats have left on the world of music. Don't miss this once-in-a-lifetime performance. Get your tickets now and join us for an unforgettable night of music.
Batin's Day is an annual memorial tribute to the decades of rich cultural contributions in Middle Georgia given by phenomenal Macon music luminary and community leader Stanley Batin Muhammad, who passed away unexpectedly on June 10th, 2022. This year, Batin's Day is shaped by a special celebratory reflection on and honoring of the lives of 3 of his closest companions, who all were legendary Macon musicians who have also passed away within the past year as well. On Sunday, August 6th, at 6 p.m. on the Douglas Theater stage, Anthony Tony Bone Dorsey, Otis Redding III, and Jamal Thomas will be honored along with Batin with a concert of commemorative celebration by an outstanding ensemble of local artists. Tickets are $25 per person, and proceeds will help to establish Batin's Day as a perpetual community benefit program for Macon-Bibb County. Purchase your tickets Tuesday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the Douglas Theater box office, or go online now at douglastheater.myboxoffice.us. For details, call 478-742-2000 or 770-337-6409 or 478-718-8067.
Hey, you tuned into the Rockwell Radio Show. We're back in the building with us. We're doing a recap of the International Training Conference. And my goodness, we got some stuff to talk about tonight. In segment 1, I'm still feeling the spirit from the entire weekend. Come on, brother Derek. That's what I'm talking about. We want to hear what was your experience. If you were there, we want to know what you saw, what you felt, what you heard. We want to know what you took away. Feel free to share in the comment section what you experienced. Brother Calvin's right there. You can ask him yourself, or you can talk to him yourself. So, Brother Calvin.
Yes, sir.
We are going to now jump into segment number 2 because ITC had a musical expression side of it as well, from what I'm told.
Absolutely.
I'm told that there were some people that lit up the stage in Chicago, Illinois. I want to introduce a person who is no stranger to the Rockwell Radio Show in the least. He probably could be a co-host. He's been on the show so many times. This brother has put out album after album. He has been all over this country, in mosques all over the country, strengthening the brotherhood, training the brotherhood. He is an author. He is an absolute soldier, and he takes this work seriously. He is the author of the great booklet called The Path, books 1 and 2, to help us in this mission. And it is a great aid to those who are followers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Please welcome back to the Rockwell Radio Show, my brother, Hashim Hakeem. Big Sheem, welcome back, soldier.
How art thou?
Brother, we renaming the show the Rockwell Hashim Radio Show. Now,
Brother Calvin,
but brother Hashim is not alone. Where'd he go? I don't see him on camera anymore.
He stooped down to write some more rhymes.
He stooped down. I hope we're about to bring him on in a minute. Well, since I don't see him on camera, I want to throw a party in honor of this next guest I'm about to bring on right now. Matter of fact, we're going to turn this episode into a party right now. This sister is, there you go. There you go. I'm going to say sister for last. Is that all right?
Give her the big intro.
Okay. This brother I want to bring to the show right now. I love this brother just based on his spirit, his heart alone. Set aside that he's a family man. Set aside that he is a dope MC. Set aside the fact that he is a brother who loves the mission, the work, and the minister and Allah. This brother is just simply a joy to be around. And he too was a witness of ITC 2023. Please welcome to the Rockwell Radio Show, my brother, Reginald, your God brother. There you go.
Brother Sensei Calvin, assalamu alaikum to my brother, my big brother, who I always love to be in his presence, brother Hashim Hakeem, and to my big brother DJ Rockwell, and my brother Dave C. You know, let them know it's always love, man. Just to be around these brothers, man. I'm blessed. Thank you for having me on the show, brother.
Oh, brother, the honor is all mine. Can I drop the music, Dave?
Drop the music. I'll start the drum roll.
You gonna start the drum roll?
I got you.
She's on tour all over the country, killing stages, melting microphones. She just dropped a brand new mixtape. It's out there now for you to download it. And she just left Chicago and she scratched it off her list of cities she destroyed. Please welcome back our sister, our soldier, who has given it to him from city to city and state to state, Akila Nahanda.
Go ahead. There she go.
Praise God. Thank you. Thank you for that.
There she go.
Oh, beautiful intro. Thank you.
Oh, sister, you are worth that and more.
That's right. That's right.
Now, if you're watching right now, we want everybody, again, if you were there, join in this show. We want you to participate by telling what you saw, telling what you felt, what you experienced. But right now, and I also want to again mention that tonight's episode is brought to you by Teens Day, happening tomorrow night in the great city of Macon, Georgia. And you should buy tickets to support the great legendary soul artists that come out of that area, Macon and Bibb County there. And you can go learn more and buy tickets at douglastheater.myboxoffice.us. But let's wrap this show up now, Big Dave. Come on. I want to talk to my brother Hashim, my brother Big Reg, and my sister Akila. I want to start with Hashim. Give me just a 60-second introduction of what, well, not introduction, but a summary of your experience in 60 seconds. And I'm going to ask each of you to please do the same. Start with Hashim, Brother Reginald, and Sister Akila.
60 seconds. I'm going to take 30 to thank you for this opportunity, man. To talk about the International Training Conference, man. It's just that's on your mind. We are so appreciative. So we thank you for highlighting some of the great things that is going on in our nation, that the people can see. It's not just about bean pies in the Final Call newspaper, although those are great entities within our nation. We thank you for wanting to highlight what's going on here in the Nation of Islam. So thank you for the opportunity. Shout out to the Supreme Captain for thinking about the whole. Shout out to the Assistant Supreme Captain for thinking about the whole. And if you, I would say, in my opinion, if you want to fish somebody into the Nation of Islam, bring them to the International Training Conference.
Say that. Come on.
If you want somebody to see what we really about, and not a glimpse, they can get a whole plate full of shock, and eye-open epiphanies to say, whoa. I did not know. How you gonna run a nation without having these intricate workshops and how to build, how to grow, how to fight? And the highlight for me was the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I understood something we've been hearing all the time. He said, sisters, don't let men play with you. And then he went on to say, for every no good woman, it's a no good man that made her that way.
That's right.
But I didn't hear it like I heard it then. And it started making me sympathize for all of our sisters, all of our good girls that went bad, all of the sisters that I personally have been hard on because they're doing this or that. I started thinking about us and wanting to hold us accountable for all of our sisters who may not be what they're supposed to be or other than themselves. I heard it differently and made me want to just go to apologize.
Come on.
I ever offended, but it was a great event. We always say, and I think I got 5 seconds left. We always say that this one is better than the last one. No, this was better than the last one. It was powerful. Thank you.
Brother Rez, your God, brother. Please give us a 60-second summary of what your experience was, big brother.
All praises due to Allah. I, first of all, as well, want to thank you, Brother DJ Rockwell, for keeping this on the forefront, keeping what we just experienced on the forefront, because I remember I spoke with GM right before the conference, and he said to me that he had heard it said like this is like a midsummer Savior's Day, like a mini Savior's Day, you know, and that, to be honest with you, being here in Chicago, it is always a privilege and an honor, and we're so excited to receive the believers. I can't state that enough, that when you come to the city, the spirit you bring is so, man, it's just so necessary, so needed, it's so filling. And to step into the Sheraton Hotel, which I've been in that hotel many times, but it's just nothing like walking in there and you see the MGT and you see the FOI. Right. And the way we conduct ourselves, I see the I see the people from Chicago looking and turning their head like, what is this? Who are these people?
People want to know.
Man, brother. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I cannot thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Supreme Captain, the Assistant Supreme Captain, and those who worked so hard, the staff that he put together, the team he has. Man, they knocked it out. They knocked it out the park, man, and they deserve all of the flowers we can give to them.
Come on.
Because we wouldn't have had something like this if it were not for people to stick with it all the way through to the end. So, and lastly, I would say that I got the opportunity to share it again with my children. And,
I saw, loved it, love that shot.
You know, and that means so much because it gives, you know, these moments matter, and you get an opportunity to kind of place that in you all's history. Where remember when we were at the national training, you know, the international training camp, remember when we dressed alike, remember we took that picture, you know, remember we did this. And so I'm just in a state of gratitude for this weekend. There's so much that happened, and I ended the weekend with your next person doing the best introduction to a tour. I mean, this person is incredible as an artist in the nation of Islam, and I'm a big fan of hers.
She is.
So yes. So
and come on now, he is speaking of none other than our sister Akila Nahanda. My sister's in the building with us.
Yes, thank y'all.
Sister, the floor is yours.
You know, thank you. Thank you for having me on the show again. I really enjoyed myself in Chicago. It's always a pleasure. It's always an honor to be with the believers. And, you know, being in Chicago, it's a beautiful thing. But then to be in Chicago and perform and to actually be on stage and to be able to really get the believers out their seats, to have a good time, to dance, to really enjoy themselves. Musically, you know, because the training conference, of course, we're learning how to do CPR. We're learning how to do all of these things when it comes to how to protect our nation. But another way of protecting our nation is to produce music and to produce a culture of arts and culture that is in the vanguard, you know, the vanguard of the music that's out today, so that we can start to get our people to really hone in on what type of music we should really be feeding ourselves and feeding our minds. So I enjoyed myself being in that aspect, doing my music, and actually having my first headlining concert ever in Chicago on that weekend. So the believers, I mean, it was just a beautiful turnout. Brother Reginald, your god brother, he was there, and I really was blown away by the love that I was shown, and really just the support that I got from the believers for doing music and for, you know, showing and displaying and sharing my gifts. And so
she's bringing up just a little bit. That's a freeze. While she's freezing, Dave, let's go to the next question real fast. I want to pick up the point that she was just making about the response. I don't know, and maybe you all can tell me the blending or the fusion of the musical aspect and the training aspect. I don't know the history of that and how far back it goes. But I want to ask this question to Brother Hashim and Brother Reginald. Now that it's beginning to unfold, what is the response by the believers that they're now getting a chance to go kick, punch, learn, and jam?
I talked to GM. That's a great question, man. I got Vavon, you know what you're doing, but that was a good question. I talked to GM, I think it was 2005. And he noticed some of the trials that I was having as an artist in the industry. He knew when I flew to Cash Money, and he knew what they was trying to have me do to be an artist on that label. And he noticed that the talent in the Nation of Islam exceeds just about all the talent that the enemy is promoting. Not that our artists and our brothers and sisters in the industry aren't talented. And when I say artistry, like Sister Akila Nahanda, I have a new profound respect for her because I've heard her music, loved it. But that show she put on, and Sister rehearses, you can tell. So this, what GM has done, he said, listen, I gotta help the artists in the nation. No, they can't sell their souls. No, they're not gonna go into the industry and smoke this and bang this hoe and let's get high. And
right.
We have to promote our own artists. So this is a conversation that happened in 2005, and ever since, the Assistant Supreme Captain said, let's highlight all of our talent, not just the drill, not just the martial arts, not just all of our great speakers. Let's highlight the entertainers too. And that's what he has done. And that's why you can never, the minister keeps saying it's about the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm saying it about Jim. I can never thank him enough for all the help that he has done for me in my personal life. But to think about, let's get this artist, and what about your sons, and let's get Danique, and the GM is involved in every aspect of the International Training Conference. I'm talking about conversations with Carl Thomas, trying to get him to perform. Carl Thomas didn't want, he was double booked, but we would have had Carl Thomas at this event.
Mm-hmm.
So GM is working. He works and works, but he said, you know what? I want to highlight everything that we have to offer to the world to let them see that this is where you're supposed to be. So as far as I remember, it started in 2005, National Training Seminar.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Brother Rez, what you say?
Man, yes, sir. Well, man, of course, I got to give credit to GM as well. You know that just as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is born in New York, GM is from New York, and hip hop is definitely a part of his life. And he's always been a supporter of course, all of us who are here in Chicago. We've never gone to GM with our gifts and our talents, and he's turned us away. He's always open to find a way to help us display it and put it out there. And so it is in his mind and his heart that the artists get an opportunity to take the stage and rock a mic and present their gifts, skills, and talents to this effort. Because as Brother Calvin stated, it's for the whole. Oh no, brother. Calvin said, but Brother Hashim said, he said, Supreme thinking for the whole, and GM thinking for the whole. But that's what the staff and the team that GM has together, they all sit down and they present their ideas and what they think, and that's what makes this so beautiful, man. I being an artist, always look forward to seeing artists, to seeing who we have, the talent that we have around us, the next group, who's coming up, man. We got some incredible, our brother Luke Mon here in Chicago, incredible up and coming, artist. Man, it's good to see what we have available to us and what GM has allowed to present itself to us, to our nation. So I'm thankful to Allah for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned into the Rockwell Radio Show. This is DJ Rockwell, the nation's #1 DJ. So glad to be here with you. Tonight's episode, once again, is brought to you by Teens Day, happening tomorrow down in Macon, Georgia, where they're going to honor Bateen Muhammad. He was an artist, a virtuoso, if you will, a musician, also a former guest on this show. You can go to douglastheater.myboxoffice.us to learn more and get tickets if you are here in the Macon, Georgia or Atlanta area rather, and get more information about it. We're at the wrap-up stage. I see my sister Akila is having some technical issues here. I know she's at a family reunion. I wanted to get her on to get a closing word from her, but what I do want to close with, it looks like we lost Hashim too. What I do want to do is close by asking everyone if you can give us just a 60-second response from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, what you took away from his comments from ITC 2023. I'll start with Brother Calvin and go all the way down.
Man, 60 seconds, brother. Well, listen, it don't take long to bear witness to a man such as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And my takeaway, and it seemed to have been the theme of the weekend, was the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan drawing the parallel between love and life. And as you know, when we're practicing art that could be seen as a deadly art, and we're talking about security, and we know that the time that we live in, but us as a community, in order for us to really enjoy the abundance of life, we have to be intertwined with love. And, you know, that's something that I want to make sure that I keep at the forefront of our mind, you know, because we use love as a cliche sometimes. But the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, he lives love. And if you're in his presence, you can't help but feel and reflect that love. And so my greatest takeaway, if we're talking about living life to the fullest, it cannot be done without having the love in your heart for your people, actually seeing the God in each and every brother and sister that you encounter. So that's going to be my takeaway.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Big Reg.
I'm going to come right behind that because that definitely lays the foundation for me. The way GM introduced the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and told the story of how the minister humbly asked the Supreme Captain, you know, am I invited? You know, just that humility that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has, and when he comes out, how humble he is. He's a teacher, but yet, you know, he's willing to give credit to the teachers. He gave credit to each of the senseis that were there, the masters that were there. Also, then his love is also demonstrated by his love of his wonderful and glorious mother, his wonderful wife, the mother of the faithful, Mother Khadija Farrakhan, and them sitting up there together.
Yes,
their way here, brother. You know, I don't even want to, you know, it's just one of those things where I'm blessed, brother, to be able to witness this, to be a part of it, to be able to receive this, a love that has lasted multiple generations and is still going. We are a special group to receive such a special human. So yeah, I just think a lot for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and I want to demonstrate it the way that we see GM demonstrating. Look at all of the people GM brings to sit at the foot of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Amazing.
And you got to know that man loves his teacher.
That's right.
Come on now. Hashim, can you do it in 60 seconds?
Yes. Because Brother Calvin and Brother Reginald just did my 30 seconds. So hey, Brother Calvin, you just eloquently said it. And I'm thinking here, like the minister said, in order to enjoy the abundance of life, you gotta have love. Like it makes you, you know, tap into your forgiving side. Mm-hmm. It makes you like you can't have an abundant life not forgiving, being a forgiving person. You can't have an abundant life being a vindictive person.
Ooh.
You can't have an abundant life needing to have the last word. And so I'm looking at my name across the screen, and it's that redeemed part. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, even though you can tit for tat, and he said a redeemer is slow to anger.
Teach.
And so I got man, I'm talking about I grew up. You think we spiritually got tightened up too now. We didn't physically get tightened up. We spiritually got tightened up. and I got some work to do in my personal life with this forgiving side and being slow to anger. I spiritually grew up this past weekend.
Oh, brother, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And he got it in 6 seconds, Dave. We lost Sister Keela right at the end, at the closing. Oh my goodness. I wanted her to wrap us all up.
Hey, bro, Vaughn.
Yes, sir.
We can't forget them artists that was on that stage. Sister Heck of a Mecca was on that stage.
That's right. Oh, this round of applause for Heck of a Mecca. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, yes.
Right. Sister Heck of a Mecca shut it down. We can't forget Ashe Quran.
That's right.
That's right.
We can't forget Ashe Quran. We can't forget Strafe.
That's
how
right.
you say it, Brother Calvin? Strafe?
Yes, Strafe. Yes, sir.
Do it on the left now. Do
Oh,
it on the
man.
right now.
That's right.
Set it off. So, KO, like that was a star-studded performance. That show was solid. Now we didn't know how that bad boy was gonna turn out, because at the last minute, them tickets started selling, and we was putting chairs everywhere. Next thing you know, we didn't have enough chairs. The next thing you know, we was bringing more chairs into the room. And again, Sister Keela Nahanda and Sister Heck of a Mecca, in my opinion, them two sisters right there, A1 professionalism. And they did their thing. Shout out to Sister Heck of a Mecca.
This applause was for my dear Sister Heck of a Mecca, no doubt. Well, now I got Keela. Let me utilize her fast before she goes out again. Sister Keela, real quick, if you can, we're just doing a closing response to what your thoughts of the Honorable Miss Louis Farrakhan.
Oh, okay. Let me just say as quick as possible because it might shut off. But the janaza was also that weekend. And so I learned a lot from listening to the janaza of our brother Jabril, and the importance of sticking with what it is that Allah has put on your mind and your heart to do when it comes to their assignment was rebuilding the Nation of Islam. And we have to understand what our assignment is and to hold fast to that assignment and carry it through until Allah calls us home. And so he said he carried out, Brother Jabril carried out his assignment, and I took that as ammo to carry out my assignment. And I pray that everybody else carries out their assignment and that we work for the goal of the mission of the resurrection of the dead. So I'm gonna say that before.
Come on now.
So that's what I took away.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much. This is DJ Rockwell. You just watched another episode of the Rockwell Radio Show. But Dave, before we go, I'm going to call an audible because I almost forgot.
What you got?
I want to give the last word to Brother Calvin. Since he stuck around, I want you to put up that quote from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I think it's a great way to wrap up this episode. And I would love to have my brother close us out with his thoughts on these words. Every student of a master here today, you reflect your master teacher. You want to walk like him. You want to talk like her. Because I saw some hers today, but you start by having an object in front of you that you admire. That's the way all of us fashion ourselves into greatness. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Brother Calvin, your thoughts as we close.
Whew, man, brother, that first of all, as if that quote didn't speak for itself. But I have to say, students of Grandmaster Abdulaziz Muhammad, we learned, if we've been around for a while training with him, we learned how to treat him the way we saw him treat his teachers. If you ever seen him around Dr. Moses Powell, you've seen him around Soke Little John Davis. You see, as much as he knows, when his teachers come around, he yields all attention to them. And when I brought that up to the GM, he brought up the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is a student of his teacher, so much so that he achieved the goal of every student, and that is to become one with their teachers.
Come on.
And I say that because in order to become one with your teacher, as he was saying with us, that object in front of us, there's a verse in the Holy Quran, and I will leave it here. It says, say not that you believe, but just say that you submit, because faith has not yet entered into your heart yet. It's all about the submission to that object in front of you so that we can close the gap and grow into oneness with it. And I'll leave it at that.
Ladies and gentlemen, nothing more needs to be said after that. Sensei Calvin, Resident your God brother, Hashim Hakeem, and the queen herself, Akila Nahando, we thank you, we thank you, we thank you, and we thank you for watching another episode of the Rockwell Radio Show next week. Oh my God. Should I tell him, Dave?
What's happening next week?
Should I tell him? I'm going to just give 2 words next week. The Symphony. Right here on the Rockwell Radio Show. Love y'all. We out of here.
Now, if you got past all of that, you might as well keep on rocking with us. So come on, everybody, let's go. Let's go. Radio show, y'all. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show, y'all. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show, y'all. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show, y'all. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show. That means you too. Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show. Leave it like the Rockwell Radio Show. Subscribe now. Rockwell Radio Show, y'all. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show. The Rockwell Radio Show. Come on now, y'all. Yeah. It's a dope episode, man. Come on, man. Stop tripping.